Okay, so we're now recording. Now, for those of you that have attended our sessions before, these Co-op Conversation member events, really keen for you to be able to have your views and ask questions that you want to ask. So please feel free to openly answer any questions you've got and contribute to the discussion that we have. I think the format we're going to have for this session is Jules Farrell in a moment is going to do a presentation around Fairtrade, and I'll let Jules introduce all of that in a moment. And then there'll be opportunities for questions towards the end of that particular presentation. So, as probably most of you will know, we are celebrating 30 years of the Fairtrade mark, and therefore we are now in the middle of Fairtrade Fortnight, so a slightly different time of year than it is normally, but we're right in the middle of Fairtrade Fortnight as in line with that 30 years of Fairtrade. So 30 years ago this month, Wet, Wet, Wet were number one with Love Is All Around. That was number one for many, many weeks. Manchester United won the Charity Shield 2-0 with goals from Eric Cantona and Paul Ince. And the first ever episode of Friends was aired in America, which went on to do quite well as a sitcom. But more importantly than all of that, the Fairtrade mark was formed. And Mid-Counties Co-operative, along with the other co-op retail societies across the UK, are really proud to have been supporting Fairtrade for that time. We've got a number of Fairtrade firsts that we've achieved. We were the first to have our own Fairtrade branded product, which was milk chocolate in the year 2000, and we've had a number of other Fairtrade firsts across the co-op retail movement. During the Fairtrade Fortnight, we're doing our best to raise awareness of the importance of Fairtrade. We've got a lot of activity on social media, grower stories, really highlighting the positive impact Fairtrade makes on growers and the impact that Fairtrade premium has. We've also rebranded some Fairtrade products within our stores and also got 30% off a range of Fairtrade products as well throughout September to really try and push that message across. So we're doing our bit to carry on really pushing the message of Fairtrade, and really proud to be supporters of the Fairtrade mark and Fairtrade products. So with that said, I'm now going to hand over and introduce Jules Farrell to begin with. So Jules is a member of our Member Engagement Committee. She's chair of Wolverhampton City Fairtrade Partnership and director and executive advisor of the Susan Vickers Foundation. Now, Jules will be talking us through Fairtrade, about why it's important, what it's all about, and particularly around the Fairtrade town side of things. So Jules, really many thanks for joining us for this session. And if it's okay, I'll hand over to you to take us through.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm really proud to have been asked to do this during Fairtrade Fortnight. The role of chair is something I take very, very seriously since I took on the role, and I'm very proud of what Wolverhampton achieves and the wonderful people that are supporting. As we said, Fairtrade Fortnight moved from its February-March time of the year that it's always been, and it's now in September. And the annual awareness is something that a lot of Fairtrade campaigners take very, very seriously. It's an ongoing thing day in, day out of every year, obviously, but Fairtrade Fortnight helps us highlight even more what Fairtrade is all about. So it's the annual celebration, as it says, of all things Fairtrade, raising awareness for the need for fairer trade to support farmers in low-income countries. And this year is extra special because, as Mike said, we're celebrating 30 years of the Fairtrade mark in the UK, first appearing on supermarket shelves. So, together, let's be the change to make trade fair. Thank you, Karen. Can I have the next slide? So, obviously, the first question we ask ourselves, and people ask, why choose Fairtrade? As an international movement and in partnership with 2 million farmers and workers, Fairtrade has a vision of a world in which all producers enjoy secure and sustainable livelihoods, fulfil their potential and decide on their future. Fairtrade works with farmers and workers in more than 1,900 producer organisations across 68 countries so that they can improve their living standards, invest in their communities and businesses, and protect our shared environment. We achieve this by rallying a global community of millions of farmers and workers, supply chain partners, brands, retailers, shoppers, schools, governments to pay fair prices and uphold fair production standards and practices. Fair prices provide an immediate lifeline for farmers and workers struggling with low incomes and disadvantaged by global trade. Thank you, Karen. So, what does Fairtrade do? Well, Fairtrade, as I said, is a global movement for change with a strong and active presence in the UK, as well as internationally. And it's represented here in the UK by the Fairtrade Foundation. The international fair trade system, which the Fairtrade Foundation is part of, represents the world's largest and most recognised fair trade system. And together we're a global organisation working with businesses, consumers and campaigners to secure a better deal for farmers and workers. And I think it's something that we can all relate to here. We all want a decent day's pay for a decent hard day's work, don't we? So it's something that's a global thing. It's the humanitarian side of us. Everyone deserves a decent pay. So the Fairtrade Foundation sets the standards. Fairtrade certifies products and ingredients. It works with companies' own schemes because shopper demand, like a lot of things now, has driven companies to start thinking about sustainability. I mean, the Co-op obviously is one of those that's high on the sustainability. It's very dear to the ethos of someone like the Co-operative. Fairtrade lobbies government, Fairtrade works directly with farmers and workers, and Fairtrade drives awareness with the public. Thank you. Did you know that Gartang was the world's first fair trade town? I thought I'd put this in for some of you who may be on here who's not aware of some of this information. I know a lot of you are campaigners, so I wanted to put a little something in for those who perhaps did not know. So for those who do, please bear with me. Garstang is an ancient market town and civil parish within the Wyre borough of Lancashire. And on their website, this is what they say is why they do what they do. Fair trade is about better prices, decent working conditions, local sustainability, and fair terms of trade for farmers and workers in the developing world. By requiring companies to pay sustainable prices, which must never fall lower than the market price, fair trade addresses the injustices of conventional trade, which traditionally discriminates against the poorest and the weakest of producers. It enables them to improve their position and have more control over their lives. With fair trade, you have the power to change the world every day. With simple shopping choices, you can get the farmers a better deal. And that means they can make their own decisions, control their future, and lead the dignified life that everyone deserves. That's very important because it's a dignified way of living, and they deserve that. Fair trade is about bringing the farmer and the shopper closer together, and it's about putting people at the heart of trade. Becoming a fair trade town sends a powerful message to work and will directly benefit some of the world's poorest farmers and workers through increasing awareness and sales of fair trade in your area. People power, I love that saying, people power, works, and fair trade towns have been essential in building support for fair trade across the UK. A study funded by the Economic and Social Research Council found that the most effective campaigns to encourage ethical shopping are those that take place at a collective level, such as the creation of fair trade cities, of which we are one, which we'll go on to later, rather than those that only target individual behaviour. And I think that's a very good, brilliant way that they explain why we come together as humanitarians, collectively, as a collective force to do good. Thank you, Karen. So how are we doing? Well, campaigners and activists are at the heart of the fair trade movement in the UK, and the numbers speak for themselves. Since Fairtrade was launched 30 years ago, more than 600 towns and cities from all over the UK have signed up to support our mission. Nearly 2,000 Fairtrade groups have sprung up in universities, communities, places of worship, while tens of thousands of children in Fairtrade schools are learning about trade justice for the farmers and workers who grow their food. And I know someone who's particularly on this event this evening, one of our representatives from the Fairtrade Partnership, Anne Bickley, was instrumental in making the children aware within our city and helping many schools, several schools, to become fair trade status. She's done wonderful work over the years with schools because the kids really get it. The youth are the future, aren't they? 30 years on, Fairtrade Foundation estimates 10 million people, including farmers, workers and their families across Africa, Latin America and Asia, benefit from sales of their products on fair trade terms. So what are the key challenges farmers and producers face? I was lucky last year to be asked to, with my colleague who's on here tonight, Anne Bickley, to be on WCR-FM, which is a local radio station in Wolverhampton, to talk during their Eco Week about climate change and the relationship with fair trade. And I'll be talking again in November as their Earth Week about it. So I thought this would be a nice little introduction to the fair trade farmers who are on the front line of the climate crisis. It's a big thing that's affecting the whole world, particularly for these farmers who produce the things that we consume here. So they're feeling the worst effects right now but they're working hard to win a better future for all of us. Stand with them by choosing fair trade. And we'll just watch this short little video. Thank you.
Fair trade means fair for people and planet. It means a fairer deal for farmers and workers on the front line of the climate crisis, to help them deal with the huge challenges climate change is already causing them. Challenges like less fertile land, failing harvests, and more extreme weather. It means our eco-friendly fair trade standards. And it means expert advice on sustainable farming techniques from our fair trade producer networks, who offer support all around the world. But why does fair trade care about the climate crisis? Because the climate crisis isn't fair. Farmers like Siddy and his family contribute least to this crisis. Carbon emissions per person in the UK are 28 times bigger than those of someone in Sierra Leone, but they are the ones getting hit the hardest. And unless we take urgent action, things will get worse for hard-pressed communities around the world and for the future of our favourite products. Up to 50% of land used for coffee could be unusable by 2050. Plant diseases are becoming more common. Cocoa trees will be harder to grow in West Africa. Wine production could reduce by 40 to 50% in South Africa and Chile. But we can choose a better future with fair trade. Fair trade exists precisely to help those in need get through a crisis and win justice in the longer term. Whether that's a trade crisis of unsustainable prices, the COVID-19 crisis, or the huge challenge of the climate crisis. So how is fair trade helping tackle the climate crisis? When you buy fair trade, it means farmers and workers getting at least a guaranteed fair trade minimum price and an extra payment known as the Fair Trade Premium, which they choose how to invest in their communities of farms. That means more resources to deal with the escalating challenges climate change brings. This could mean planting new trees, new climate-smart farming techniques, or coping with more extreme weather patterns. Sadly, too many farmers and workers simply don't earn enough to do any of this, which is why our global fair trade movement is campaigning for all farmers and workers to earn a living income, so communities, businesses and families in the global south can survive this crisis. But with our fair trade producer networks, fair trade is there on the ground too, giving expert practical advice. Fair trade farmers are on the front line of the climate crisis, but are working to win a better future for our planet. They work in line with our eco-friendly fair trade standards, bans on deforestation, commitments to reduce carbon footprints, protections for biodiversity. So every time you choose fair trade, you're choosing a better future for all of us and the whole planet. Action on climate change is in our hands. Share to help us win a fairer future.
Lovely. And I do think that's a video that really explains it really well. As we all know, climate change is a worldwide issue. But for the farmers and producers who, you know, grow the things that we rely on so much here. I mean, who could imagine a life without coffee of a morning or chocolate or things like that? I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about because we're so used to it, but it is a serious problem, and buying fair trade ensures that we can work together with them by buying fair trade to do the things it says in that video. So there's quite a complex lot of things involved because we can't grow the things that we're talking about, coffee beans, things like that, because of our climate, we can't grow them. A lot of people say to me, well, why don't you support your local farmers? Why don't you support buy local and all that? And then you have to explain to people not so au fait with what fair trade is, that these are the things that we rely on here because we can't grow them. And if these farmers and producers can't grow them, we can't consume them. So I think that's a great insight into our climate change, and then fair trade is helping. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so I'm chair of Wolverhampton City Fair Trade Partnership. It's wonderful to see some of my colleagues joining us this evening from across the city. And we've been a Fair Trade City for 20 years. And next year, it's very exciting, is our 21st year anniversary. And I think that is an amazing achievement because Wolverhampton isn't an affluent city. It's quite a deprived area, really. And to have had that concurrently awarded for all the hard work of all my predecessors, everybody, people who are on here from the partnership tonight, to get us where we are to the 21st year next year is just incredible. I take my hat off to everybody who's got us to this position today. So the Wolverhampton City Fairtrade Partnership is a steering group, and it's made up of representatives that work to promote fair trade awareness across our city. We work with schools, businesses, local council, MPs and councillors, faith groups, Rotary clubs. We've got an award-winning business that called Revolver Co-operative that we're proud of here in Wolverhampton, who are award-winning, and we're very lucky we have those. So we've got a lot of networks. We have a lot of people that come together on the steering group, all with the same passion to improve the lives of these farmers and producers. And we're lucky that we've really got good support. But there's always going to be little obstacles. There's always going to be, you've got to be a bit more, proactive in some areas. Not everybody's going to agree to for whatever reason, to become a fair trade. So there's challenges, but for coming up to 21 years, it is a remarkable achievement, and that's all the hard work of everyone, as I've mentioned. And we have some exciting plans coming up that we've been discussing recently at our local partnership meetings. One, which I'm very passionate about, we're collating the information off people now, is a history of the fair trade movement in Wolverhampton, going right back to 2004, when it first started. And that's really exciting. We've got a task group putting that together. We want it to go into the city archives for future generations. So we're working on a book at the moment, which I think will be fantastic to capture everyone who's contributed to get to the milestone today. So you can follow us by searching for Fairtrade in Wolverhampton on the Facebook page, or Instagram, or Wolverhampton Fairtrade on Twitter. We're more and more active now on social media, which has brought a lot more interaction with other fair trade towns and cities across the country, which is really exciting. So we can support each other. So we like we're more out there now than we've ever been. So I think that's brilliant. There's an email address there you can always contact me on, julesfarrell@hotmail.co.uk, if you ever want to get in touch about anything in particular. But yeah, we are. And that picture there is actually on all our the sign we are of Fairtrade City. The council have put up during Fairtrade Fortnight. They did it last year, and it flashes on all the electronic gateways coming into our city that we are a Fairtrade city during certain parts of the day, and that makes me proud just looking at that. Next slide, please. So how can you become a fair trade community too? Now we've got another colleague who's on here this evening, Matt Dodd, who works for Mid Counties Co-operative, and he's also represents Mid Counties Co-operative on our partnership steering group. And at the AGM that was for Living Fairy Festival, an AGM earlier in the year at Walsall Football Club, we had the area of the fair trade, and we had our lovely Wolverhampton banner, Fairtrade banner up, and Matt was speaking to a lot of visitors there. He spoke to 500 visitors on that day, explaining about Wolverhampton as a fair trade city, and but what the collaboration we have with the co-op, Mid Counties Co-op, and it was fantastic. That's a lot of people, but yeah, we're change makers and ambassadors. I mean, the key things you need are the Fair Trade Community Scheme, which now features 5 new campaign action areas that you need to achieve to be able to get your fair trade status. So obviously boosting fair trade, encouraging the purchase and use of fair trade products is one criteria. Connecting fair trade, partnering with others in the fair trade movement and beyond, which, as I said, with our social media and things like that, is becoming more and more wider. It's fantastic. Being fair trade change makers, growing support for fairer trade locally. Being fair trade ambassadors, raising awareness of how fair trade supports social change, and being fair trade influencers, growing support for fairer trade through digital channels. And I was, again, really proud that the Fair Trade Foundation, which is the charity that sets these criteria for you to become a fair trade community, actually had on their website this year Wolverhampton as a fair trade influencer, because of our work with the Wolves Foundation, which is the charitable arm of Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Premier League football team. And it's lovely that we're getting recognised by the wider field for the work we're doing. So that was something to be really proud of. Thank you, Karen. So what is a fair trade town or city? You can see there that is our certificate, and that is a certificate that we proudly display across the city, saying we are a fair trade community, awarded to the city of Wolverhampton. The date it was awarded, the 2nd of August 2023, and how long that certificate lasts for. 2026 is when it's renewed again. You have to renew every couple of years, doing the criteria that I just spoke about. So it's engaging with people. So the Fairtrade Foundation, as I said, runs campaigns with local community groups aimed at boosting awareness and understanding of trade issues and promoting the buying of fair trade products as a way for everyone. These campaigns have a set of goals and receive a certificate of congratulation from the Fairtrade Foundation when they are achieved, and that's our certificate. Once a local community declares its status as a fair trade town or city, or university or faith group, it must be committed to continuing campaign and awareness. And that's important. If you want to become a fair trade community like Wolverhampton is, you don't just stop once you've got your certificate and think, I've achieved that, I'll renew it again in 2 or 3 years' time. It has to be an ongoing campaign. But that's why we do it. We're humanitarians. We campaign day in, day out. It's in our DNA. So if you're passionate about it, and I know people on here can relate to that feeling. It's something that you do every day. It's in everyday conversations. So, yeah. And then again, when you come to the renewal, you can prove what other things you've been doing. Thanks, Karen. So what have fair trade campaigns achieved? Well, after 3 decades, fair trade supporters across the UK have raised awareness of unfair trade and realised incredible achievements nationally and internationally. In this 30th year of the Fair Trade mark first appearing on our supermarket shelves, the issues that we are addressing through our public campaigns go to the heart of our calls for greater price and power for farmers and call for rapid action on environmental sustainability and climate justice, the most urgent issues of our time, as we spoke about earlier. So you can join the Fair Trade campaign and movement today and add your voice to the demand for fairer trade deals for the farmers who supply us with so much of our food, and your actions can help influence businesses and decision makers to step up and drive the change that is needed. And that's what the challenge is. If you think about, you go into a leading, we'll use coffee as an example, one of the most popular things. You go into a leading place that serves coffee, and you look at the astronomical prices of some of the coffees, and you think that the poor farmer in the has been, working away and all day to get a pittance because they're not in the fair trade system. It's quite shocking, really. It is exploitation with a capital E. So yeah, that's what's fair trade about. They deserve a decent wage through the supply chain to the end product where we consume. Thank you, Karen. So a little bit of a fair trade quiz. You haven't got to, run off and get a pen or anything, but I just thought it'd be a fun way as we wind up before we go into our conversation between ourselves, a little chit chat of just a few things I put on there that we can learn together if we don't already know these facts. So question 1 was, what percentage of land currently used to grow coffee could be unsuitable for this much loved crop by 2050? According to expert predictions. Now, would you think that's 10%, 25%, 50%, or 75%? I can see Anne there writing away, I think. Right, number 2. Which company, which produces a range of fair trade hot drinks, including tea, coffee, and hot chocolate, shares its name with a type of ship? Hint. They also produce extra eco-friendly, biodegradable and plastic-free tea bags. Is it A, catamaran, B, clipper, C, submarine, D, a narrowboat? 3. Fair trade bananas are available in most major supermarkets, lots of independent greengrocers and countless corner shops. But in 2016, what world record did UK marathon runner Andrew Lawrence set while dressed as a banana? Is it the ice parachute jump while dressed as a banana? Is it the fastest channel swim from UK to France while dressed as a banana? C, most bananas eaten in 1 minute while dressed as a banana? Or D, the fastest London marathon time while dressed as a banana? Okay, question 4. Which country produces the most coffee beans? Is it A, Brazil, B, Indonesia, C, Ethiopia, or D, Colombia? And 5, according to 2019 expert calculations, what is the average daily income for a cocoa farmer in Côte d'Ivoire? Is it A, £17.40 a day, B, £7.40 a day, C, £4.70 a day, or D, 74p? Okay, so those are the quick little questions so we can all learn together a few more facts. Now, okay, over to the answers. So answer 1 was 50%. According to scientists, damage caused by erosion and pollution negatively impacts the amount of arable land available around the world, which will drastically threaten the livelihoods of fair trade farmers. Too many farmers barely earn enough to make ends meet, even without factoring in declining yields and adaptation costs. This is why we fight the farmers to receive a living income, so they have the power to effectively combat the crisis affecting their communities and continue with their livelihoods sustainably. Answer 2, Clipper Tea. They commit to a fairer future for people and the planet with their fair trade and plastic-free tea bags. Now, just a little aside from while I'm reading out these answers, you heard me mention Wolverhampton Wanderers FC, how wonderful, I'm a bit biased there, football team. They serve Clipper Fair Trade in all their hospitality and events, so that's fantastic. Answer 3 was the fastest London marathon time while dressed as a banana. He ran it in a speedy 2 hours and 47 minutes. Andrew goes down as the fastest banana around. There's a lot of people who dress up as bananas during Fair Trade Fortnight, and it's a fun way to bring the message across. Answer 4, answer was Brazil. A hefty 2,652,000 metric tons of coffee exported each year. Brazil is by some way the biggest producer of coffee in the world, but all of these countries are in the top 5 nations producing coffee, and you can get fair trade coffees from each and every one of them. And finally, 74p a day. We can't comprehend that, can we, for a full day's work? 74p a day. It's absolute exploitation, like I said. Okay, next slide. Good luck if you got some of those. So I'll find a few words before we open it up. This year's fair trade campaign is Be the Change. So this year for Fair Trade Fortnight, we've been asking everyone to be the change. And being the change is about more than just being aware. It's about an active choice to support fair trade farmers and workers around the world, wherever possible, to ensure they earn a fairer wage. By doing that, you can ask your MP to sign the pledge to be the change and encourage others to contact their MP. We here are very lucky we have our local MP here for Wolverhampton, Pat McFadden, and he's been putting a lot out fair trade. He's supported from years and years and years, so we're very lucky. But we've got new MPs on board now, and at our AGM that we'll be having tomorrow, the Wolverhampton Fair Trade AGM, I shall be asking them to pledge to be fair trade too. Organise or join a campaign event, a bit like this one. This is a wonderful fair trade event, raising awareness. Push out the message into the world, dive into social media to spread the word. Tag Be the Change and choose fair trade. Choose fair trade in your shop this fortnight and encourage others to do the same. And as I said a little bit earlier in the presentation, these are things we can do in Fair Trade Fortnight, but there are also things we can do actively every day of the week. It doesn't just stop. So yeah, anything like that, just to keep the momentum and it's in people's psyche of the importance, I think more than ever, that we should look after our fellow human beings on the planet, and they deserve a decent day's pay for what we consume here. Thank you, Karen. So the final word goes to the lovely Edith. I thought this would be a lovely little video to finish off this part of the presentation before we all have a little natter about what we've spoken about, and over to Edith.
On travaille nuit et jour sous la pluie. Le soleil même nous tape, mais on ne gagne pas beaucoup d'argent. Quand les primes viennent et puis on nous donne dans la partie, là, à partir du fil là, ça me plaît beaucoup. Fait, on envoie la prouve et puis on partage soit des kits, on construit des écoles, aider les autres élèves, les autres enfants dans l'école si les parents n'ont pas les moyens, et puis faire des jugements supplétifs et autres là. Je suis animatrice auditrice au sein de la coopérative. Je suis mère d'un enfant célibataire. Et mon fils a 14 et 13 ans. Il est dans une école publique, c'est une école de l'État. Concernant la prime Fairtrade, la coopérative va faire des dons quelquefois dans leur école. Ça me motive même à travailler même pour Fairtrade et puis avoir toujours du cacao Fairtrade, vendre du cacao aux gens de Fairtrade. Pour son futur, je souhaite pour un avenir radieux. Il faudrait qu'il devienne vraiment quelqu'un de bien dans la vie. Je m'investis beaucoup dans son éducation, surtout son éducation et puis sa manière de faire. Lorsque les femmes n'ont pas leur revenu dans leurs mains, et puis c'est le mari qui garde, elles ne sont pas autonomes. Si elles ont besoin d'acheter quelque chose, elles sont obligées d'aller vers leur mari. Et puis, est-ce que c'est sûr que le monsieur va leur donner? Non, c'est un danger même. Il fait que c'est pas bien. Si moi, par exemple, je travaille avec mon mari, que je ne dispose de rien, et les revenus, mais je ne sais même pas où ça va. Donc, quand c'est comme ça, la femme, c'est comme si ce qu'elle a fait la main, c'est zéro. Fairtrade m'a apporté beaucoup, je peux dire beaucoup. Fairtrade m'a permis de connaître davantage mes droits et devoirs. On voit que ce que l'homme fait, la femme aussi peut faire. Donc Fairtrade m'a appris beaucoup, à transformer en quelque sorte. Je souhaite que toutes les femmes de mon groupement soient autonomes. Elles aient même leur argent pour subvenir à leurs besoins. Ça, c'est mon objectif clé.
You. Wonderful. So, thank you for listening. That little picture there is from the Fair Living Festival I mentioned earlier, the AGM we held at Mid-Counties Co-op held at Walsall Football Club earlier in the year. That's me, look, with a banana, and that's my colleague who's on the Fairtrade Partnership, Matt Dodd, who's absolutely wonderful. I know he's on the call tonight, so I thought that'd be a nice little picture to end with, because he's so supportive on the Fairtrade Partnership, as is Mid-Counties Co-op. So, yeah, I think all I can say is it's something, like I said earlier, it's in your DNA when you care so passionately about fairness and justice, and specifically trade justice. And we are very, very fortunate that we've got some really wonderful, kind, caring, humanitarian people here in Wolverhampton who care about sustainability and care about the planet and care about fellow human beings and just want them to have a decent life. Like I say, we all deserve, if you've put a good day's, hard day's working, I think it's only fair you deserve a decent day's pay for doing that. I'd like to thank you all for listening. And I hope we've learned a little bit of something together. And obviously, I'd like to open it up, really. I think it'd be nice just to hear other people's opinions and other people's thoughts on why they campaign for Fairtrade. If you can see, you can raise your hand. If you want to click on the top bit there, there's a way you can raise your hand. If you want to make any comment, you want to say anything about why you're passionate about Fairtrade, please do. Please interact. It'd be lovely to hear what your thoughts are. Or if you've got any questions, I'll try my best. I don't know everything, but I will try my best to accommodate them. So fire away, anyone. If anybody's got anything they'd like to ask or anything they'd like to contribute to our wonderful little evening. Anne, hello.
Hello, darling. I just want to say thank you so much for being the lead tonight and doing that wonderful presentation.
God bless you.
I've been working with schools for a long time in Wolverhampton, and I especially with the children, like I said before, like to Paul, kids get it. They're the first educated people. You know, they're our future. They get it absolutely. Why isn't everything fair trade, they say to me, as it should be, really. But also the tremendous ability of fair trade to empower women also is a goal dear to my heart. So, I mean, it's just a wonderful organisation. And thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Anne. And thank you for all your hard work across Wolverhampton over many, many years. It's incredible. Okay, who's next, Karen? Who are we going to go to next?
Henry, you've got your hand up. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that.
I did indeed. Thank you very much. Now, at the beginning, you said there were about 600 towns and cities that are fair trade. Now, I do know Wolverhampton is after this evening, but I don't know where I obtain the information as to where there is anywhere else in this part of the world.
That's very interesting. Okay, because remind me again, Henry, where are you? Where are you based again?
North Hampshire.
Northampton. Yeah. Well, I mean, the go-to place, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, who's also on this call, the go-to place is the Fairtrade Foundation site, where that's got everything and anything you ever need to know about places fair trade. But Paul, perhaps you could come in there and help me on this one. How would Henry find out? Did you hear the question? How would Henry find out specifically?
About the Fairtrade City? Yeah, I just go to the website.
Yeah.
Just Googled it. While he was talking, in anticipation, you might ask me.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. Well, you know, I'm secretary of our Birmingham group.
Yes.
Called FAB, Fairtrade Association Birmingham. And I think most cities, I helped Telford when Telford and Wrekin have got a Fairtrade City group.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Fairtrade cities all the way through the UK. I think I'm right in saying there's 300.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're in Northampton, you're pretty centred of the country. I'm going to say Oxford, absolutely, and Coventry, absolutely. Maybe even Rugby. They're quite close by, aren't they, Henry?
No. North Hampshire.
North Hampshire.
Yeah.
Right, not Northampton. Sorry, you're in
Salisbury.
Oh, you're in Hampshire. Well, we have
Winchester.
Yes, I know Winchester. My
None
mother
of these
lives there.
places have signs saying that.
Right. No, well, just let me think. Well, we have a coffee shop at Oldtown in Swindon, which is in the Mid-Counties supermarket.
Yeah.
And that's in Wiltshire. So that
Yeah.
I think is that reasonably close by?
Yes,
And
I was going to say. Thanks,
a
Paul.
great town.
Thanks, Paul. Paul, Henry, I think you've given me a mission there.
I think I'm off there.
Sorry, Henry, I'm talking over you. You've given me a mission there. I'm going to find out just for you, and I'll come back to you. I will email you. All right.
You broke up.
Tara's got a hand up as well.
Okay, Tara.
Question.
Hi, Jules. Yeah, I
Thank
just
you
wanted to say
very much. Thank you.
thanks, Henry.
Thank you very much. It was a fascinating talk.
Bless you. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Jules. I like that.
Thank
I've
you.
learned quite a bit from the
Good.
presentation, which is brilliant. And my question was very similar, actually, because I know we've got Wolverhampton, I think Kidderminster, Stourbridge, Whitney down in Oxford, I think is a fair trade town as well as. I just wondered whether or not, as a group of campaigning towns, you got together, whether or not is there a fair trade town convention each year or a conference?
That's very interesting because a couple of years ago, I actually went to one in Sutton Coldfield with a few members. Our previous chair, Dr. Barbara Gwinnett, who I succeeded, became chair after she stepped down. And we went to something where they all came together at a conference. And I've been to London as well to a conference at a college there. So yes, that's a very interesting actually, because it has been a while since I've been to one, but they do have them. Paul, again, I'm relying on you. I do apologise because you've been around wonderfully with Fairtrade for such a long while. Do you?
Well, they used to be annual. They used to be annual.
Sorry.
Yeah, they were every year, Jules. You're right.
There was.
And then, but there's been a lot of changes, you know. Michael Kidney just stepped down as chief executive at Fairtrade Foundation. But I did look up for the last questioner, Paul. There's a town called I don't know how it's pronounced, Calne in Wiltshire. Cole, and that's a community area fair trade group. I think it's a small town, but I'm pretty sure Swindon is a fair trade town. Because we had the mayor come along at the opening of our coffee shop 4 or 5 years ago. We were talking about it then.
Wonderful.
But the fair trade town and city groups has always been dealt with by one particular group. I know it's a big thing for any city to get fair trade status, but then, have I got that right, Paul? Yeah. But you're usually pushing against an open door, if I'm honest with you.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so in answer to your question, Tara, there has been, because I've been to a few over the years, but as part of the 21st year next year, I'm going to be looking into seeing what's out there as a collective. That's a good question, Tara. I'm going to look into that. Thank you. Anyone else?
Susan's got her hand up. Jules.
Oh, hello, Susan.
Hello, you okay?
I am. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is Susan from the Susan Vickers Foundation. What question have you got, Susan?
So I know with Anne, you go into the schools and engage schools and young people. Is there still a community that you'd like to access to deliver fair trade message?
Oh, right. In reference to young people or
Generally?
Ooh.
Well, normally you're requested to go in. You don't sort of openly canvass to go into the schools or the youth organisations. They request you to go and engage. We have the wonderful Wolves Foundation at the moment that are doing wonderful, amazing things, and they've got an amazing outreach of 20 plus schools that they can go in and directly engage, which is far more than I ever could as a single teacher. But if you're asked to go in, you can go and talk to Cubs and Scouts and any sort of youth organisation like that.
Yes. Following on from that, Anne, yesterday I was hosting a Bilston breakfast meeting of all people coming together, and I was requested to go in and give a fair trade talk with a group for their young people at a group. And a lot of people come to us. I mean, we can actively say, would you like us to do a talk? But we do find people tend to come to us and they say, will you come in? A bit like King's School, Regis School. I went into last year when they had workshops. So that was good fun, but they approached us. But all the while we're looking for groups and things like that. Does that answer your question?
But also, Brilliant. Can I say, with the organisations, it's a huge area. I mean, we're just Wolverhampton. I mean, we could get requests from outside, and I can't possibly, as one person, do this. So this is where we do rely on other people. Or in my day, we had fair trade speakers. I know you still do that, but you have a list of fair trade speakers that you can get in touch with that have been vetted. And they can go in and talk. You just have to request this from the Fairtrade Foundation.
And going back to the foundation, for people who might not be aware, that's the charitable arm of Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club, as I mentioned earlier. And like Anne said, their outreach with the fair trade work they do is one of the reasons we became a fair trade influencer on the Fair Trade Foundation website, because of the work with them. Their outreach is fantastic. We went, didn't we, last year when we had a tour with the children who were learning all about workshops, and they'd had a tour of the Wolves ground. And they're reaching out more than ever, and they've got a fair trade ambassador that they're unveiling at our AGM tomorrow. And sorry, Anne, carry on.
And also, of course, you've got the fantastic kudos that a football club in the city brings, and the absolute involvement that the children want to get involved with. It's a win-win.
It is. And I remember quickly that I was tweeting about the wonderful, and it was in the match day programme, about the collaboration with Wolves Foundation, with the children and the workshop. And I remember someone from a London fair trade group say, wow, that is incredible. What if Wembley was fair trade? We did something to do with fair trade, or our local London Football Club or something. So it's like, that is like big for people outside. It's big for us in Wolverhampton to have their collaboration on the partnership, but outside, yeah, it's really looked on as like, you know, the holy grail of achievements, if I could say that, you know what I mean. But yeah, it is amazing. I've just seen a few links pop up. Thank you, Karen and Paul. I can see that you've actually put that up for Henry, so that, and everyone else, so that's brilliant. Should have done my research a little bit more, so apologies for that. But yeah, is anybody else?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sorry,
We've got 2 more questions.
Yeah,
One from Lou first.
Lovely. Hi, Lou.
I just wanted to ask what your proudest moment was since you've been involved in the Fairtrade Foundation, because you've been involved for so long now. So what's your outstanding moment?
Well, as people who probably know me, I'm not one like to blow my own trumpet. I don't see myself what other people see me. I just get on with it. Oh, crikey. Oh, I don't know. There's been so many wonderful things happening since I took over for the role, but I've been involved for 15 years. And for those who don't know, Lou Brown I met Lou when she was the Mid-Counties Co-operative representative on the Fairtrade Partnership when Dennis Turner, the late Lord Bilston, was chair, if you recall, Lou. And I met you through that, didn't I, going along 15 years ago. And then, yeah, so we've known each other for many years. Becoming chairs, probably, it sounds a bit motsy, but I think I am so proud of the role. And Wolverhampton, I mean, it gets a bad press for many reasons, but I just think it's so wonderful. Wolverhampton's getting recognised all over for the wonderful community spirit we've got. I have people say to me, oh, community's dead. There isn't a thing as community. I says there is. You're just not looking for it. There's wonderful things going on in our city, and Fairtrade is one of them. So I'd say actually becoming chair and working with such wonderful people who contribute and support, and it's just lovely. But there's been loads of things happening. It's just 21. Ask me at the end of next year when we've done our 21st year celebrations, and I'm beaming with all the wonderful things that we'll be doing, and I'll answer you then. Thank you. Lovely. Anybody else?
Yeah, Sam's got a hand up.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi guys, thank you for letting me join today.
Thank you.
I'm a member of your co-op, the Mid-Counties.
Brilliant.
I work for Co-op Group, so I've just taken over as a brand new role, a member engagement activator, and one of the things I'm trying to do is link up with Fairtrade groups, Mid-Counties Co-op.
Brilliant.
And so I thought I'd join in and just introduce myself and say hi.
Hello, Sam.
I come from
wonderful.
Wolverhampton. So most of my stores are sort of Shrewsbury and Telford, but I do have a few in Wolverhampton. So I'd be keen to be involved and join you if you're doing anything. So let me know. I'll drop my email address. But
yes, please do pass it on, and we'll look up and yeah, that's wonderful stuff. And as I said earlier, Sam, it's all about. We're all got the same vision, haven't we? And collectively, people power, as I said earlier in the presentation, with people power, you can move mountains. It's an old cliche, but you can, can't you? Yes. You know, people power. Sam, I'd love to, catch up with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to join and listen in. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm ever so sorry. I've had internet issues.
Oh, bless you.
I keep dropping off. I could get in, and then I get kicked
off.
Oh,
bless you. But the good thing. Oh, sorry, interrupting, Sam. But the good thing, Karen, I think that you can explain is that this will become a recording, won't it, for people?
Yeah. So we've recorded this evening, and it will go off to our studio. It'll top and tail it all nicely. Once I've got that done, what I'll do is I'll drop it in the link to it in an email to all of you, because I've got your email addresses from where you've booked on. So I'll drop that in an email for you and that. But if I could just ask very quickly, well, 2 things of you. Yeah. One, if you wouldn't mind, just in the chat, just giving us a score out of 10 of how you felt that today's gone. Has it?
Be nice.
Is it what you expected it to be? Did you enjoy the evening? And then in your email, I will be dropping you all an email just tomorrow to say thank you with just sort of 5 or 6 feedback questions. I'd be really grateful if you wouldn't mind just answering those and sending those back to me, because we always rely on your feedback. We do these things, and to make them better, we like the feedback from the people that join. So I would be really grateful if you wouldn't mind just answering those in the email that I pop out tomorrow to you. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And on a personal note, and everything as people who know me know it comes from the heart. I genuinely appreciate people taking the time to listen about the passion that I've got, because I know people's lives are hectic and sometimes we haven't got a minute to stop and collect our thoughts, have we? It's such a hectic, world we live in. So I really, really appreciate that you've took your time to sit here for an hour and listen to me rabbiting on about, and I hope it's inspired more than anything. It inspired you to go out and learn a bit more and encourage other people. And when hopefully what you've got out of it is that if people come to you now and say, hey, about this fair trade, what is it? You'll be able now to explain to them exactly what fair trade does and why you're passionate about it. And together, like I said, collectively, yeah, we can do some wonderful stuff together. We can, honestly. I know. Sorry, Karen.
Sorry, I was going to say, if you go into our stores now, we've just done a rebrand on all of our fair trade. So we've got all this really snazzy packaging and everything. So you should be able to see it quite easily when you go into stores now. It's all quite retro in colours and that. So it looks really good. So have a look when you're next in one of our stores.
Yeah, fantastic. And like I say, just a couple of more minutes left. And Paul, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, Paul. Do you want to just give us a brief little insight, as obviously being award-winning fair trade business in Wolverhampton? Quickly explain to people, if you don't mind, what started you on your road to why fair trade was so important to you to set up as a business.
Oh well, we started with fair trade cotton, and then moved over to fair trade coffee and tea. I wanted to say to Karen in particular that the fair trade movement has got a lot to thank the cooperative movement for.
Yeah.
And these two movements have really been, run a parallel. So I was in Malta recently at the launch of Co-op Exchange, which is going to be an exciting new project. And I was pleased to meet Jerome Douglas. And I've got his second name wrong, haven't I? I've got a photograph with him. But Jerome was a creator of fair trade. He created the Fair Trade labelling organisation in Bonn, which is the labelling organisation that goes out internationally and has the relationship with the fair trade producers. Fair Trade Foundation is obviously just the UK branch of that.
Yeah.
And then there are different fair trade organisations in each country. Jerome now is the Director General of the International Co-operative Alliance, and the former Chief Executive of Mid-Counties, Ben Reid, was our representative on the ICA Council up until just very recently. So I was pleased to see Ben as well, actually, in Malta, and he introduced me to Jerome, and it is Jerome Douglas, by the way. I just looked it up. I thought I got his second name wrong, but so I was delighted to meet him. He's an icon, and to be the creator of fair trade, and then to go on and be the Director General of the International Co-operative Alliance.
Fantastic.
It reminds us just how close the two the two movements are linked. And I wanted to say as well, I think it's your AGM tomorrow, isn't it?
It is, thank you. Yes, we're
What time is that and where is this?
Thank you for the plug. Yes, it's the Wolverhampton City Fair Trade Partnership. Very briefly, I'm conscious of time. Our AGM tomorrow, celebrating all things good about our achievements through the year. And I'm very proud. You were asking me, Lou, weren't you, about being proud? We've got a student here. She's 12 years old and she goes to SWB Academy in Bilston. And she is going to be the first ever recipient of our Young Fair Trade Campaigner of the Year award. She's been through quite a lot in her personal life, bless her, but she's so eco-ambassador friendly. She is amazing, and she's set up a little TikTok group to publicise fair trade. She gives out little key rings with fair trade. She's brilliant, and she's going to be our first ever recipient of this new award, and I can't wait to present it to her tomorrow. And because, like we said earlier, like Anne says, children are the future, and yeah, it's going to be a wonderful event of people coming together, fellow supporters, and just supporting each other as a community, as it should be, all with the. Thank you, Paul, for that plug.
What time is it, Julie?
Tomorrow.
What time is it? What time is it, and where is it?
12 at the Changemakers Hub at the Wolverhampton train station. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much. I'd just like to, on behalf of me and Mike and that, and thanks, Jules, for doing this for us this evening. I think everybody's really enjoyed it by all the comments I've seen flashing up in the chat. So thanks for yourself for taking the time out to do the presentation for us, and thank everybody that's taken an hour out of their evening to join us this evening. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe, everyone. Sam, I'll be in touch.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.